G'day, my name's Bernard Shapiro. I'm an amateur historian and adventurer here in New Zealand. I want to take you on a special journey that commemorates the return of our troops from World War I. So what became of these men and women when they came home? The jobs they were expecting simply weren't waiting for them. Most of the soldiers who returned home during or immediately after the war received the hero's welcome they expected. There were bands and receptions, parades, speeches and acknowledgement, but for those who stayed on longer, there was a marked lack of enthusiasm for repeating the welcomes, particularly for those returning in 1919 after the influenza outbreak, which in 2 months claimed half as many men who had died during the entire war. The prohibitionists of the era were also hostile to the soldiers who enjoyed a good drink, and bars ended up being closed to them. A haven for these soldiers was, and still is, the Royal New Zealand Returned and Services Association. Wounded men were rehabilitated into jobs that the government felt they were suited for, and many of those who returned from the war killed themselves before their medals had even been issued to them. The government attempted to help the situation with schemes such as the Discharged Soldiers Settlement Act. 9,500 men were financed onto farms, but much of it was undeveloped bush, and many of the new settlers, with little or no farming experience, left their plots due to the financial difficulties of the decade. They were abandoned, and many simply couldn't go on. There are 333 deaths recorded as suicide in New Zealand related to post-war depression. The actual number is higher, but coroners attributed these to misadventure. But our journey is not just about the troops who came home 100 years ago. Today, people still face circumstances similar to those of yesteryear.
We are the New Zealand Mounted Rifles Charitable Trust. We raise money and awareness for the sufferers of PTSI.
Today, this is a worldwide issue. with veterans so traumatized they can find the stress of employment terrifying, many becoming homeless or worse. It is also a condition that exists in civilian emergency service personnel and in survivors of abuse, disaster, and rape. I've spoken with mental health professionals who agree that PTSI is not a disorder. Mental illness is generally a chemical imbalance that forces a person to endure the things that are not real. It inflicts quite real misery on those who suffer it. Post-traumatic stress injury forces a person to physically relive their most extreme memories, whether by sound, taste, smell, or even sight, again and again. It's usually in response to external stimuli that triggers a very vivid memory. It is the body's own self-preservation response to danger, a natural reaction to an abnormal situation. People who have it either sink or struggle on.
With people returning from Afghanistan and other places, it's very difficult to self-diagnose, but the people who have it need help, and they need help now. Support us and we'll help support them.
To help raise awareness, we're planning to walk 111 kilometres down a lonely road in demobbed equipment of World War I. Our journey begins in Wellington, where we'll board the ferry, our troop ship, to land in the town of Picton. Here 32 men and women will meet to hold a commemorative service. We will then travel to Blenheim and the RSA to do the same, and then convoy across to the beginning of the Rainbow Road, a long, desolate, high country station that is lonely, dusty, and isolated. Together, riding, walking, and driving as support crew, we will arrive in Hamner Springs for another service. But to make this project happen, we need your help. Your contributions will not only assist us to complete our walk and bring awareness to New Zealand and the rest of the world of the condition of post-traumatic stress injury, but any excess that we gain will be there to assist families and those most in need who are suffering this condition. Let us send them a clear message. You will not walk alone.